recently applied to share a session at an online summit about how Black women can earn $100 an hour doing something that they don't even realize people would pay them $100 to do. My session, which I think is absolutely brilliant and necessary because every Black woman is sitting on what I call couch cushion money, which are skills, talents, insights, resources that we take for granted, but that someone else actually wants and would pay us $100 an hour for. And I was excited to talk to this community about that. My application was rejected, so I made my own free YouTube video. You don't have to pay for it, walking you through the process, which I'll link right here. I'm very excited. I hope you enjoyed. I'll also put the link in the description. But in the meantime, I want to talk to you about the 5 most important lessons that rejection from that summit reminded me about what I already know about money that I want to share with you today. Hi, my name is Elle. I'm also known as the Empress of Ease. I'm the creator of the House of Ease, where I help ambitious women create lives of success, joy, and fulfillment from ease instead of exhaustion. If that sounds like your cup of tea, please say hi, like, comment, and subscribe. I am so happy that you are here. I was disappointed, and I gave myself about 20 minutes to feel disappointed. And then I was like, the show must go on. I'm making a video sharing all my insights, nooks, and crannies about what we can be doing to make $100 an hour, because there is something that you are sitting on right now that someone would happily pay you probably more than $100 an hour to talk to you and pick your brain about it. I'm not going to talk about it here because I already talked about it in that video that I mentioned earlier, but go check that out if you want to know how. In the meantime, these are my 5 biggest lessons about money that aren't just like mindset and feel good and attracted and imagine yourself there, which is true, right? Like manifestation secrets are true, la, la, la. That's all true. But here are the 5 most important things I remembered. I wrote them in my journal right here. I'm going to share it with you, my top 5. Coming in hot with number 1. I am my own financial responsibility. My life is 100% my financial responsibility. Now, this particular community that I had applied to speak on their platform, I have been on their platforms before. I have been in community and relationship with them before. I don't know if that was going to give me some extra weight. It in fact did not. But at the end of the day, I am still my own financial responsibility. They are not responsible for me financially. They make their own decisions based on their own business and their own goals and their own objectives and their own relationships. It doesn't make me less of a person. It doesn't make me any less talented. It doesn't make me any less skillful. I am my own financial responsibility. So after I gave myself that 20-minute beat to like take a break, pause, be irritated, be disappointed, I realized, okay, off from the X1 onto the next one. I got to do what I got to do to make sure that I have the money coming in. And it's obviously not going to come in from that direction. When you take 100% responsibility for your life, for your finances, for your world, for your reality, when you take 100% responsibility for creating the life that you want to live, your potential is limitless. You can do whatever you want to do. You create the rules, you create the dynamics, you create the venues, you create the income streams. But you cannot be dependent on other people to save, see, or rescue you if you want to create the reality for your life that you want. And that is what I had to remember when I got that rejection. I was like, oh, dang. And so I was like, okay, but I'm in charge of myself. They're not in charge of or responsible for me. I'm in charge of and responsible for me. And that was my wake up call and reality check, because I love being generous with myself. I love trusting myself. I love knowing that I am worthy of the reality that I want. And while yes, being on their platform may have been helpful, it may have been useful and beneficial to me to get in front of their audience again, what is more important is trusting that I can create what I want for myself, and that not only can I do that, but I am doing that. I'm doing it right here and right now. I want you to have that confidence and that anchoring and that knowing too. So many of us are dependent on jobs, partners, parents, the government to create the reality that we want. And while, yes, of course, if you have those things, it's beneficial. But the reality is that you are more ingenious and innovative and creative and powerful than you might recognize. And the moment that you stop outsourcing that power and stop outsourcing someone else to save or rescue or caretake you, that is when you become truly unstoppable. So lesson number 1, I am responsible for my reality. I am responsible for my money, and I can create it in so many other ways that work for me. I can do it on my own accord from my own calling. Reminder number 2. While this society might be working against me based on my race, based on my age, based on my class, based on my nationality, based on blah, 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 fill in the blanks. While this society might be working against me, the universe, divine, source, creation, life itself is always conspiring in my favor. Always conspiring in my favor, which is what allows me to be 100% responsible for my life, because all of life itself is continually conspiring in my favor. Always wants the best for me, always wants the highest and best good for me. My mantra is I am a beloved of the divine, always provided for, protected, and taken care of. I am a beloved of the divine, always provided for, protected, and taken care of. There is absolutely nothing to prove. I was not born in sin. I don't have anything to overcome. I was born wonderful. I was born loved. I was born appreciated. I was born celebrated, and nothing has changed. As were you. I'm not saying this as an exceptional person. You too are the beloved of the divine, always provided for, protected, and taken care of. When you trust that, when you know that, you can do whatever you want to do. While it may seem on the surface level that this society is against you based on class, age, race, body, whatever, right? It may be based on all kinds of superficial things that have long histories. I'm not trying to dismiss it. This is not spiritual bypassing. They may have things we can look around for the physical evidence of the conspiracies against us. But the reality is there is something beyond the physical, and that is our saving grace. I think about my elders, my ancestors. I think about life itself. I think about the earth and the elements. I think about source and soul. I think about all the unseen things that are actively and continually conspiring in my favor. As a Black American, I come from people who, as Audre Lorde said, were not meant to survive. And if my ancestors and elders can survive what they have survived in order for me to be here and make the decisions that I can make, I know that everything's going to be all right. I know that everything is already working out in my favor. I know that everything is already unfolding to support my highest and best good. And that is what I trust. And that is what I rely on. So even if the world, turn on the news, we turn on TikTok, we turn on in conversations, we turn on chit chats, and we see so much negativity coming at us, specifically at people who look like us or sound like us or live like us. And the reality is, beyond the human nitpicking and negativity, beyond that, and that's really society specific. You can feel worldwide, but the whole world doesn't operate like the nexus of insanity, which is my home country, okay? The US of A. The whole world doesn't operate like that. When we realize that there are other places on the planet that are loving and kind and welcoming, but also that beyond that, that the source beyond source, the creation, that life itself is conspiring in our favor, it loves us and is supporting all the best for us. And we tap into that instead of the worldly understanding and interpretation of us and who we are. That reality of source beyond source, we're unstoppable. I have started a separate channel where I go more deep dive into the spiritual stuff, which is the Goddess Frequency, because clearly this is my favorite stuff to talk about. If you want to be subscribed when I start making actual real deep dive spiritual videos there, please click the link in the description to go over to the Goddess Frequency, because that is my home base. That is my home turf. You see this right here, God as a Black woman. I'm not talking about that from a racial perspective or a human perspective even. And I will talk about that much more on Goddess Frequency. So please go and check that channel out. Okay, lesson number 3. Lesson number 3 is keep going. Keep going. And I say this because in less than a week, I'm moving to Bangkok, Thailand. I talk about this in this video right here, where I talk about all of the things I've had to do to be able to be financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically well and ready to move abroad again. I've lived and traveled to 26 countries. So I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. The first time I left the country was in 1993. I am a nomad before digital nomading was a thing. I've been outside. Okay. I've been outside. And life has lifed in some ways, right? I've had a medical emergency, which brought me home back to the United States from living in Rwanda. I've had to deal with things that I did not anticipate in my international living abroad journey. But I have been steadfast and determined and focused to get abroad again. I am neurodivergent, and part of that can be what some consider hyperfixation. I'm also a Taurus. We like to focus. We get in and we focus. We're very good at that. And that has been an asset for me. That has been a strength for me, not a liability. That has allowed me to zone in, focus, zero in, lock in, and do all the things that I had to do to make sure that my dreams were available and accessible. And this is what I want to remind you of. You have the capacity to do hard things. The last several years of my life have been rigorously challenging, emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially. I have come through some deep waters. And what I have learned about myself now more than ever before, because I have not had a very challenging life in a lot of ways. Yes, I've had brain surgery. Yes, I've experienced narcissistic neglect and abuse in both my romantic world and my family of origin. But I would not say I've had a hard life by any stretch of the imagination. These last few years, baptized by fire, honey. Baptized by fire. And what I have learned, if nothing else, is that I can do hard things. Now, do I want my life to be hard? No. But if it's hard, can I stay focused and determined with my eye on the prize? Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. And do what I got to do to get what I want to get. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. And that is a gear that I had to shift into that I had never had to access before. I can do hard things without losing myself, without losing my soul, without losing my sanity. Even though there were times when I felt like I was clawing on the edge of the building, hanging on by, you say I got no nails, hanging on by the nubs of my fingernails to make sure I did not fall to the ground, okay? But I made it, okay? I clawed and crawled my way up the building to back to solid ground. And for that, I'm grateful. So the lesson number 3 is keep going. You can do hard things. Lesson number 4, having one person in my corner counts. Having one person in your corner counts. As I said, the last 7 years, and Pluto's been doing something, I don't know enough about it, but Pluto has made a cycle. That cycle is complete. Hallelujah, amen. But for the last 7 years, I've had to reorganize myself, my relationships. That means family relationships, romantic relationships, platonic relationships. All of them have had a reorganization, and I've had to learn this the very hard way, the very hard, the very determined and deliberate way. But what I also knew is having one person in my corner who, when I'm hanging by the edge of the building, which actually was like me saying to them, you know, I've thought about the best way to end it all. And I've decided that for me, it would be jumping off a building, fast and painless. And one person in my corner who walked me back from the ledge, one person in my corner who had my back without hesitation, one person in my corner who made sure my needs were met when my family was MIA, one person in my corner who made sure that I wasn't losing my mind, one person in my corner who saw me and knew me, one person in my corner made the difference. I welcome having more than one person in my corner who has my back in that way. But one person in my corner changed the game, allowed me to feel more supported and less alone. One person in my corner, one quality person who actually saw me and supported me, allowed me to keep going in the best ways possible. That is the difference. I talk about it in this video right here, why I'm not in an active relationship with my family. I go into all that, so I'm not going to talk about it in these here, but I'll put the link in the description if you want to go into the nooks and the crannies, because it's a 1 hour and 45-minute video that you are welcome to enjoy. But having one person in my corner has been the game changer. And I am forever grateful. If I ever elope, this is the one person who was getting invited. This is the one person who has saved my life in more ways than one. And for them, I am forever and forever grateful. So many lesson I learned, I can do all the things. I can stay the path. I can stay focused. I can do what I got to do with one person in my corner. I'm always going to be in my corner, right? I don't self-abandon. That's never been my thing. But humans are made to be in relationship with each other. We are mammals. And being no contact with my family of origin, with having one person in my corner, has made the world of difference. Find your person, or may they find you. One of my biggest money lessons that I learned is asking for help may change people's perspective of you. Ask anyway. In 2022, I was having a medical emergency. I was living in Rwanda, and I put out a GoFundMe, which raised me over $33,000. Thankfully, hallelujah and amen, which brought me back to the States to get the medical emergency care and surgery that I needed. And I'm doing much better now. Thank you. I've never had a problem asking for help. I don't have that hang up. That's not a challenge for me. I don't mind it. Did I want to put my business out on the internet and ask strangers for money for months? I did not. I did not. I did not. Was it helpful? Absolutely yes. Did it get me back to the States? Yes. Did it allow me to have surgery that I needed? Completely yes. Did it change people's perspective of me? Yes. No one has said it directly, but I'm guessing because I've had a business online since 2010, 2011. My work has never been about asking people for money. It's been about alignment, empowerment, soul work, shadow work, healing, transformation. These are my favorite things to talk about. And so I think the juxtaposition of like, but she been talking about this and doing retreats and workshops for decades. She's been coaching and mentoring people for decades. Why is she in Africa asking people for money? I think it jacked up people's perspective of me because it was so out of alignment with everything I had been teaching and talking about for decades. It was out of alignment with everything that people knew about me. That why I'm not in a relationship with my family video. I talk about the very deep nuanced layers of that. I'm not going to go into it here, but the link is in the description if you want to know the tea. But I think either consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously, me having a GoFundMe impacted people's perspective of me, and it impacted my brand. But it also saved my life, literally saved my life. And I've had to rebuild my business from the ground up since then. I've had to reestablish my brand, reestablish my authority. I've had to reestablish everything because I don't have a regular schmegular job, right? I'm not going into a 9 to 5 with a boss. I have been an entrepreneur with a business online for 15 years. My guesstimation is that it gave people pause about whether they could trust me with my work if I had a GoFundMe. It challenged my authority in the space. That's my guesstimation. No one has said that to me directly, but that's my guesstimation. But it saved my life. And I think some people's pride prevents them from asking for help. And yes, I'm a Leo rising. And yes, I'm a confident person, but I don't have pride in a way that would actually sabotage me from seeing the big picture or understanding what's important. And at that point, what was important was getting me from Rwanda, East Africa, back to the United States so I could go to doctors. And I was in the doctor's office 3 to 5 times a week for weeks to figure out what was wrong so I could get surgery and recover. That's what I needed money for. And that was worth asking for the money for. And the long-term impact of that was that it did change my public perception. And if you're into astrology, my sun in Taurus is in my 10th house, and the 10th house is all about career and public persona and public perception. So when I was being vulnerable and being available and saying, I need help, I got to get back from Africa, my health, I think it impacted my public perception. And some of the things I shared in that Why I Don't Talk to My Family video also impacted that. So I will say again, asking for help may impact people's perspective of you. But the bottom line is ask anyway. Because at the end of the day, the people who get you, the people who see you, that people who value you and respect you will still have your back. Someone I went to high school with, who I probably haven't seen since 1997, set up a recurring payment of $50 a month for a year. I didn't ask her to do it. I didn't know she did it. $50 a month. And I am so grateful because there were some months I didn't have any reliable money coming in, but her $50 a month was so generous, was so kind. I have angels like that who sprinkled me with love throughout the time because they knew I was in need. And so, yes, it impacted my brand, but now I have a new, even more authentic brand, an even more transparent brand where I can be even more fully myself. Even though I thought my previous brand was that, but this is on a whole new level. I just want you to remember, 1, you are responsible for your own life, your own money. 2, the universe, life itself is conspiring in your favor. 3, keep going. You have what it takes to do hard things. 4, having one person in your corner, one person who has your back is invaluable, is immeasurable. You can do it. And 5, asking for help may change people's perspective of you. Ask anyway. The win is worth it. Getting back on your feet is worth it. The stabilization is worth it. Now, I'm not saying be codependent. I'm not saying be reliant, and I'm not saying you're a victim. Go back to number 1. You are responsible for creating your own reality. But I know too many people who are willing to suffer in silence, to not ask for help, who don't want people to know they need anything, and then end up with major and massive losses physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, because of their ego and their pride. Ask for help if you need it. I had several angels who I would not have been able to get back to the States or get financially stable without. And for them, I am eternally and forever grateful. But if I had not asked, they would not know. And this is why the squeaky wheel gets the oil or something like that is a phrase, right? Like that's why we have these phrases. Ask. Your pride is stopping you. But you have to be grounded and centered in yourself to know that you are worthy, to know that you deserve, and to know that no one owes you nothing, to be able to ask for what you want and to trust that you will get what you want. Because what? Let's go back to number 2. Life is conspiring in your favor. So you have to ask, and you shall receive. Knock, and you shall be answered. That's a Bible verse. That's 2 Bible verses, right? Ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door shall be open. But you have to ask. It bothers me when people just complain and are angry or irritated and they're sitting on their hands and no one bleepity bleep knows that they need help. So do not be afraid to ask. What are your money experiences? What are your big money lessons? Let's meet in the comments below and we can all share our best resources. Those are my 5 biggest lessons about money that I've been reminded of recently because of this whole not getting accepted to speak at this summit. Watch this video if you want to go deeper, dive into my world, and you understand what being entitled actually is, because I got that comment. You sound insanely entitled, and let's talk about it. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.